It kind of reminds me of inflation, how for the new man, the price goes up for the woman. In order to be taken serious in a woman's eyes, every new man must be better than the last man in order to get her mind and body. Which makes me think, if the last man got it for less, why does the new man have to work harder to pay for a used product?
DJ Mustard agreed to pay his ex-wife, Chanel Thierry, $18,342 per month in temporary child support fees starting in February. But even though they reached that agreement and related to the court in writing on January 31st, the woman still wants $80,000 per month in child support. And she claims there's a prenuptial agreement that entitles her to an additional $35,000 in monthly payments. But not only that, she's also looking for Mustard to cover her $40,000 legal fees. Now, I ask you, how can a man be comfortable going into a legal marriage knowing that on the back end, this is what will happen to him?
You can go anywhere to get the lies, but I know you came here to get the truth. Welcome to the Alphasphere.
Welcome to the Alphasphere, the only place on the planet that's totally engulfed in positivity and totally submerged in alpha energy. I'm your host, Dr. BOA.
Now I'll say this. If a woman marries you and divorces you within a 5-year period, she only got with you to secure that "I used to be his wife" bag. So after tying the knot in 2020, Mustard filed for divorce in May 2022. So they ain't even make it 2 years. When you think about this, man, you have to keep in mind, if the woman leaves you, you're going to pay. If you leave the woman, you're going to pay. So no matter what happens, whether you leave or whether you stay, you still going to pay. Why do that? It makes no sense. Of course, like I said, man, they reached an agreement for Mustard to start paying $18,342 per month starting in February. But her fight for the $82,628 a month is still not over. She didn't stop. They just postponed the hearing to a later date. She claimed was totally reasonable pending a forensic evaluation of Mustard's finances. Like, she believes that $82,000 is required, is logical, is reasonable, is fair based on his finances. And her attorneys have already reviewed and saw he pulled in over $10 million in 2020. The problem with pulling in over $10 million in 2020 is this is 2023. But they're going back to the beginning of the marriage and taking his income from then, even though it may not be as much. Now, her sworn declaration says Mustard is a successful, and I quote, Mustard is a successful American record producer who makes an extraordinary high living wage and has more than enough income to pay for both his and my attorney's fees. Well, let me ask you this. If you're getting $82,000, why you can't pay for your own damn attorney's fees? See, if they frame the $82,000 in child support, then it has nothing to do with her bills. They're quantifying that is just to take care of the children. Man, who need $82,000 a month to take care of some children? When a woman tries to weaponize your responsibility as a father against you, it's crazy to me. And I quote, this is what she said.
These men be so bitter after they leave. How you mad at me for stepping after you left me? Not paying me child support or alimony to purposely spite me after I already signed a prenup. Talk about want me to leave with nothing.
When you allow a woman to pressure you with her shaming language, man, I wouldn't have budged. I wouldn't have buckled at all. But of course, that social media thing, boy, if you care about what people think about you on social media, you're going to buckle under the pressure. And of course, he went ahead. He could have just stuck it out until the court said what the court was going to say. That's what he should have done. Because if you paying $18,000 and she still get the damn 82, you just been paying these $18,000 for nothing. Because they're still gonna backlog the $82,000. So the months you were paying 18, they probably gonna backlog it and add the difference to that. So you're gonna owe that anyway. But eventually, they saw eye to eye when it came to joint physical custody of all 3 children. Man, he got 3 children with this broad, man. Let me tell you something, man. Y'all better stop overlooking these red flags with these women. I know for a fact you see the red flags. Mustard saw the red flag before he had 3 children and married the woman. 18 months ain't long enough to have 3 children. So he done did all this with this woman who simply wanted to tie herself to the money. And she probably pressured him into marriage. You know how a woman pressure you into marriage. Well, we got these children, and blah, blah, blah. And what's going to happen to me if something happened to you? And blah, blah, blah. They be talking that long-term shit when they talk to you about marriage. But in their mind, they be thinking short-term. So they be telling you, well, if something happened to you, then well, who gonna take care of me and your children? I ain't gonna have no right to nothing. Your mama gonna have the right to it and blah, blah, blah. And you know your mama don't like me. That's your first red flag. Let me tell y'all something, man. I'm Dr. POA. But one thing I always do, if I decide that I'm gonna try to pursue something serious with a woman, I take her to meet my mama. Not so my mama can give me the green light, but just to see if my mom feel a positive vibe from her. If my mom feel a negative vibe from her, because let me tell you something that a woman can tell. A woman can tell when another woman got the Jezebel spirit, because she done been around it before in her whole life. Maybe it was her mama, maybe it was her sisters, maybe it was her friend, maybe it was her. But she know it when she see it. And so when you think about these types of things, man, a woman will tell you, well, we need to get married just in case something happened to you, me and your children to be taken care of. That's not why she want to marry you. She want to, because she ain't got to wait until then. Obviously, in this society, she don't have to wait until you die to be taken care of with your money. She can just leave. Or put you in a frame of mind that's so terrible, that you want to leave. And I still believe that when it comes to child support for these amounts, I do believe that these women should have to show receipts. They should have to prove how they spending this money. The same way you got to prove how you made it, they need to have to prove how they spending it. You need to have a receipt for your well-being, for your peace of mind. The woman just get the money and do whatever she want to do with it, and after she blow through the money and she ain't spending it right, she go back to the court and tell her it ain't enough money. Well, if the court will look into seeing how much money she's spending on what and what she's spending it on, they'll see that it's more than enough and they might lower the payments. But men don't do that. You know why? Because then you look at,
Man, you being cheap. You being cheap. You getting all that money, man. Stop acting broke.
no, you ain't acting broke. You acting smart. You want to know where your money going. If you got to pay $82,000, don't you want to know, man, that money is being spent on your child, and you want to know how it's being spent. And this whole thing about maintaining the lifestyle that you had when we were together, no, you don't get that lifestyle. You had that lifestyle because you were with me. You don't get to keep that lifestyle after you ain't with me no more. Man, the hell with that legal marriage shit, man. Y'all better stop doing that. It don't make sense. Every man that's happily married, his ass is sadly divorced when it's over. And some of them miserably married right now. If you get every married man in a room, man, and ask him would he do it again, man, I guarantee you, man, 90% of them gonna say hell no. But in public, they gotta say hell yeah. They gotta say hell yeah. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a possibility of having a good woman that's with you, man, because you the king of her world. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm saying in a situation like this with Mustard, it didn't happen. And for many of you men in these situations, it's not going to happen. You must keep in mind that it is not meant to be. If you see red flags early on, don't look past red flags. Some of y'all done wifed up a woman, man, she was a walking red flag. Everything about her was a red flag. See, here's the thing. You can't hold people's past against them. That's not what this is about. But this is about accepting them for who they are based on their past. You also can't overlook their past. You also can't act like their past doesn't matter. You also can't act like what happened in the past has no bearing on who you are right now as a human being, because that nothing could be further from the truth, and you're misleading yourself if you're telling yourself to believe that. When you're thinking about putting somebody in a very important position in life, man, you got to check their credentials. If somebody's looking for an executive for a Fortune 500 company, man, they are going to check your credentials. They are thoroughly going to check your credentials. If somebody's about to sell you a crib, they're going to thoroughly check your credentials. If somebody's about to rent you an expensive crib, they want to check your credentials. They want to make sure that you got the paper. They want to make sure that you manage your money right. They want to make sure that you do the type of thing necessary to be able to afford that type of living expenditure. And you men have to understand that you do that about your money. You do that about your friends. You do that about your business associates. You got to start doing that about women too. If a woman is for the streets, hey man, do what you do in the streets. You play in the streets. You have fun in the streets. You frolic in the streets. You floss in the streets, man. But then when you go home, you want peace of mind. You don't take something from the streets home. Why you think the plug always live up in the hills somewhere? In a safe community, in a quiet community. Why? Because the plug don't want to bring the streets home. And you men got to do the same thing. Y'all got to stop going out in the streets, bringing the streets home. Many times you see these men, man, they couldn't get this quality of woman. I guarantee you, man, let's go back 10 years at Mustard, man, before he became known like this. I guarantee you Mustard couldn't get no woman like that. You look around at these guys, man, you can tell they couldn't get no woman like that. Some of them, you can look at it. Let's say you look at Lil Wayne. You can look at Lil Wayne, man, you can tell that Lil Wayne can have a little cutie. Because I'm going to be honest with you, say what you want to say about Toya. She always been a pretty girl. So Wayne already had that experience. But you look at some other guys, man, they probably didn't have that experience, man. And that's just the reality of it, man. And Mustard is one of those guys, man. He didn't have that experience. You look at some of these guys, look who they wifing up. Look how they ended up in these divorce proceedings. With these women who obviously were only with them for one reason. The reality of the scenario is this. If you wife up a woman in this culture, in this society, today, you better do your damn due diligence. And I tell you, man, all the time, if a woman can't last 5 years with you, before she started talking marriage, and you got to sit her down in the beginning and say, baby, you got to last with me 5 years before I even think about marrying you. Before I even think about putting you in the wifey position, you got to last with me 5 years. I'm not talking about legal. I'm talking about legal marriage or non-legal marriage. I'm talking you got to, before you put a woman in that wife position. See, we're going to stop talking about legal marriage and non-legal marriage. Being a wife is a position, is an executive position in the business that is your life. You got to make damn well that you put a well-qualified woman in that position. It takes 5 years to figure that out. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being too hard on these women, man, about these divorces, man, and these beta males who be wifing up these wrong women, man. Maybe I'm exhibiting a little bit of toxic masculinity. I don't think so. But y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Peace.